Welcome in, everyone, to Lively Lewis Stories.
That's right, we're back with even more awesome adventures with Levi and Ivy.
Set your storytime meter to fun and get ready to join the Lively Lewis crew.
All you need is your imagination and...
Off we go! I can't wait to see where our story takes us today.
Have you ever wanted to get more Lively Lewis in your life?
Well, we've got you covered.
Grab an adult and zoom over to livelylewisshop.com.
Or just click on the link in our show notes.
Enough about that. Let's get to today's super Lively Lewis story.
The story you're about to enjoy was inspired by Piper. Thank you so much for your amazing idea. Ahoy, matey! Called Pirate Captain Levi, walking the deck of this pirate ship as he sailed swiftly through the calm blue sea. He was usually full of energy and excitement, but today something was different. Waves rippled across the bottom of the boat as the sun rose, painting the sky with pinks and blues. Dolphins leapt from the water at the front of the ship, saying their hellos and good mornings to the two brave pirates that called the ship home. Both pirates had the ability to speak to animals and loved all their ocean friends. Ahoy, matey, and good morning, called back Pirate Captain Ivy from the crow's nest where she used her spyglass to look toward the horizon in new adventure. How's the day looking up from there? Called up her brother Captain Levi. Another beautiful day, replied Captain Ivy as she made her way down the ladder and joined her brother on the ship's deck. I think if we stay on this course, we'll reach Ruby Island before lunch. That's great, said Captain Levi with a sigh, in less than an enthusiastic tone. Off to get more treasure. Captain Ivy could tell there was something wrong and couldn't understand why her brother wasn't more excited about the thought of getting his hand on sparkling, precious, valuable rubies. Captain Levi, where's the enthusiasm? Where's the excitement? Where's the captain I know so well? The one who's usually over the moon at the thought of new discovery of piles of glittering, shimmering, priceless treasure, asked Ivy. Finding countless diamonds, gold, and emeralds? What's more exciting than that? Captain Levi looked at his sister and gave her a half-hearted smile. Shiver me timbers. I couldn't be more excited about those diamonds, said Captain Levi as he sat down on a wooden chest and looked over the side of the boat onto the seemingly endless ocean. Rubies, said Ivy, correcting her brother. What? Answered Captain Levi. There are rubies on Ruby Island, not diamonds, answered Captain Ivy, realizing now that there was something very wrong with her brother. It's literally the biggest treasure score we've ever looked for. This is really not like you. What's wrong? A seagull landed on the ship's deck and waved hello to his two pirate friends. He held a fish in his beak to share for breakfast. But Captain Levi simply waved a quick hello and turned his attention back to the water. Come on, you love fish stew for breakfast, said Captain Ivy as she took the fish from her seagull friend, thanking him with a pat on the head before he flew off. Yeah, I do like fish stew, began Captain Levi, but it's getting a little old. Lately, I feel like everything we do is the same. One day rolls into the next with no surprises, no adventure, no excitement. Captain Ivy was shocked by what her brother was saying. She didn't know how to fix the situation, but she could see her brother needed to talk it out. So she decided to listen a little bit more. Every day we sail on this boat looking for treasure. We sail and we sail and we sail. We eat fish stew in the morning, fish sandwiches for lunch, and fish sticks for dinner, said Captain Levi. Hey, I thought you liked my fish sticks dinner, asked Captain Ivy. I do, but just not all the time. I need a little change, Captain Levi went on. I never thought I'd say this as a pirate, but it's all getting a bit boring. We sail and sail until we find an island full of treasure. We search the island until we find the treasure. We take the treasure when we find it. We board our ship and sail to another island. We donate the treasure to help people who live on that island, and then we do it again. All over again. Yep. That sounds pretty awesome to me, said Captain Ivy. The open ocean, priceless treasure, helping others, and fish sticks. What's better than that? I know, it's a pretty great life. I love helping others, and I love sailing all over this wide open ocean with you. But I just wish just one time, we could maybe have a little competition to get the treasure. Maybe some obstacles we have to overcome or some other pirates we have to outwit. Just something that would make my day not so boring, said Captain Levi as he looked back out at the waves. Sounds like you're asking for trouble, said Captain Ivy. I'm more than happy with our daily routine. Sure, the days get a little long sometimes, and the treasure is easy to find, and having a cheeseburger every once in a while for dinner would be nice. But we always said we wanted to be pirates, right? At this point, Captain Ivy was starting to second-guess herself and was wondering if she too was getting a little bored of her life as a pirate. She joined her brother at the side of their ship and looked out into the distance. As they both gazed at the horizon and thought about their pirate lives, they saw a small island start to come into view. I guess that's, Captain Levi started to say. Ruby Island, said Captain Ivy, finishing her brother's sentence and taking a deep breath before exhaling. I guess we'll grab the rubies once we get there, then sail and drop them off at a nearby island that can use them. Yep, sounds great to me, sighed Captain Levi. I'll grab the ship's wheel and steer us in. You get ready to drop the anchor. Then I'll get the rowboat ready so we can row to the island, said Ivy, sounding very much like her brother now. Don't forget the treasure chest to put the rubies in, they both said unenthusiastically together. Before long, they had anchored their ship just a short distance from Ruby Island and had boarded their rowboat. They were getting ready to lower themselves into the water below as Captain Ivy made sure the treasure chest was empty and ready for another mound of priceless gems. Ready to go? Asked Captain Levi. Yep, just checking the treasure chest. I thought I heard something rattling around in there as I was bringing it to the rowboat, answered Captain Ivy. As her brother began to lower the rowboat, Captain Ivy lifted the heavy wooden lid of the treasure chest and found out she was right. Sure enough, there was something in the very bottom of the treasure chest. A very small, shiny something, and she knew exactly what it was. Take a look at this, said Captain Ivy, holding up the shiny jewel that she took out of the treasure chest. It must have gotten left in here when we dropped off that last treasure haul. Yep, I guess so. We'll just add it to the rubies and give it to the next island we visit, said Captain Levi, until he took a closer look at the glittering gem. You know what? I think I'd like to keep that one if I could. Then Captain Levi took the jewel out of his sister's hand and watched as it glistened in the sunlight, changing countless colors in the sun's warm rays. The rowboat touched down on the water as Captain Levi stared at the jewel and Captain Ivy began to row to Ruby Island. You know, I think this jewel could be something really special. Maybe just the thing I need to turn this day around, said Captain Levi, who was starting to look more and more excited. Like his old self again, thought Captain Ivy. What do you mean? She asked her brother. The last island we were on, where we picked up this jewel, may actually be magic, Captain Levi began as Captain Ivy rowed. When we were delivering the treasure after we picked it up, an old woman approached me after she heard where we got it from. She thanked me for bringing the jewels to her island because they were magic. Wow, a magic island? That doesn't sound boring at all, said Captain Ivy. I didn't think much of it, but now that I see this gem, I remember when we were sailing away from that island, began Captain Levi. As we left, the old woman held one of the jewels in her hand, said a few words, and then a bright light filled the island. We were too far away for me to see exactly what happened, but maybe it was some kind of magic. Fast forward to me feeling down lately, and now you found one last jewel of the treasure chest? I think it's a sign. Maybe our boring daily routine is turning itself around. Captain Ivy was happy to see her brother excited again, and she was also intrigued by the possibility that he was holding a magical jewel. Well, I think we should give it a try, said Captain Ivy. I think we should make a wish and see what happens. But what would we wish for? Asked Captain Levi, putting the jewel safely in his pocket as he started to help his sister row to Ruby Island. We could wish for a bigger pirate ship, or for no more ocean storms, or, I've got it, cheeseburgers for dinner, giggled Captain Ivy. I do like my fish sticks, but I could use a little change too. Captain Levi laughed along with his sister as his mind started to wander, thinking of the magical jewel in his pocket and the wish they could make. Captain Levi stared off into the distance as Ruby Island got closer and closer. He suddenly had a mischievous smile on his face and decided to let his sister in on what he was thinking. How about we ask for something exciting to happen? Asked Captain Levi. Like a big adventure with narrow escapes, fierce foes, and thrilling ending where we feel, not bored. Well, that sounds awesome, answered Captain Ivy. But how would that work? We're, after all, the greatest pirates to ever sail the seven seas. There's no foe we can't defeat and no obstacles we can't overcome. I know, replied Captain Levi as a smile left his face. We'd literally have to clone ourselves to even have a chance at a good competition. Captain Levi, seeing the chance for his great adventure slipping away, turned his full attention toward rowing to Ruby Island. However, that's when Captain Ivy got an idea. That's it! She exclaimed as she stopped her brother in mid-row. We can wish for another Captain Levi and Captain Ivy, two worthy opponents for us to go up against when we search for the treasure on Ruby Island. It would be fun. And we can add it into our wish that when we get the treasure and deliver it to those who are in need, then the other Levi and Ivy pirate captains will disappear. What do you think of that? Captain Levi was stunned by his sister's suggestion. But more than that, he was excited. I love that idea, exclaimed Captain Levi, jumping to his feet in the rowboat, nearly falling into the water. Let's do it right now. And as Captain Ivy cheered her brother on, he took the jewel from his pocket and held it tightly in his hand. So here goes, said Captain Levi as his sister continued to row forward towards Ruby Island. Magic jewel in my hand. Please create two more pirate captains that are just like my sister and I, said Captain Levi. We want to compete with them to get the treasure on Ruby Island. When we secure the treasure and deliver it to those in need, the pirate captains we created will disappear. Captain Levi closed his eyes, expecting there to be a bright glowing light that surrounded him and his sister, but sadly, nothing happened. Or at least it didn't look like anything was happening. Captain Levi and Captain Ivy would have to wait a few more minutes before seeing what their wish had created. So, what's supposed to happen now? Asked Captain Ivy. A bright light or some kind of mystical swirling smoke? Yeah, I kind of thought something like that would happen, said Captain Levi, sounding very disappointed. It looks like that woman was wrong, and these jewels are just like the others, not magical at all. Captain Levi then dropped the jewel into the rowboat and then grabbed his oar once more to help his sister. Captain Ivy could see how disappointed her brother was and didn't know what to say to him. She just sat there and rowed, hoping the treasure on Ruby Island would at least make him smile. It was rumored to be the biggest treasure in that part of the ocean, and surely that would make Captain Levi happy. But when Captain Ivy was about to say something, her brother's eyes got wide. What's that on the island? Whispered Captain Levi as if whatever he was looking at could hear him. Captain Ivy took out her spyglass, which she always carried with her, and focused on two figures standing on the beach. Could it be that there are people living on Ruby Island? Asked Captain Levi out loud. I thought this island was completely deserted. It is, replied Captain Ivy. At least that's what I thought too. As they got closer to Ruby Island, however, they could see it was for sure inhabited. But they were totally shocked to see by who. Captain Levi, you're never going to believe this, said his sister, handing him the spyglass to look through. Captain Levi then held up the spyglass, looked through the eyepiece, and couldn't believe what he saw. Hey friends, what do you think that Captain Levi and Captain Ivy saw? Let's find out. Is that us? Exclaimed Captain Levi as his sister nodded. You did it, Levi! Your magical wish came true and you're going to get your pirate adventure! Exclaimed Captain Ivy as their rowboat crested over a wave and right toward Ruby Island. Get ready, because it looks like we're not the only ones that are after that treasure. As Captain Levi stared at twins of himself and his sister standing on the shore of Ruby Island, he noticed something interesting. I don't think they're exactly like us, said Captain Levi. I think they're evil versions of us. Captain Ivy looked nervous, but knew that with her brother by her side that they could handle anything. After all, they were the two best pirate captains in the world. But I guess the same could be said for evil Captain Levi and evil Captain Ivy. Captain Levi looked a little nervous as well, but that quickly turned to happiness, as it finally set in that he'd gotten exactly what he'd asked for, and his boring day was about to get a lot more exciting. Hey friends, that is the end of part 1. Come back soon for part 2. Thanks for joining us today. We hope you enjoyed the story and learned a little something too.
And since we know everyone has their own story, we'd love to hear yours.
If you have an idea for a Lively Lewis story, leave a comment on our Apple Podcast review page with 5 stars, your idea, and your little one's name.
Then maybe our next adventure will be with you.
Until our next Storytime Hangout.
Thanks for listening. We can't wait to share another fun, lively Lewis story with you.